Awesome. So this is LA Weekly here with Dez. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, LA Weekly.
You told me earlier that you remember whenever you had to pay 50 cents for the LA Weekly?
Well, always lived in the South Bay
Yeah.
of LA, and I lived in Redondo Beach,
Yeah.
Hermosa Beach, Lawndale, Torrance, and at that time, I don't know exactly what the politics was, but I think it was like 50 cents
Yeah.
for people down there. But we always went to Hollywood anyway and just
Yeah.
stole a bunch of them for our friends and brought them back.
Yeah.
So. Well, I remember there was a picture of my friend Mary Eric
Yeah.
from Twisted Roots. There was a picture
Yeah.
of her, and then there was like all my friends in it, like Eugene from the News in the Decline, and maybe Darby Crash. I was 13 and we moved to Hermosa Beach. I was in high school. I started hearing about punk rock, and then we started making little trips to Hollywood. But one of my favorite was the Germs played a place underneath the Redondo Pier. It was like there was a jazz club, and then right next to it there was this other club.
Yeah.
I think it's an ice cream place now, but like I forget the name, Great Gatsby, something like that. And it was underneath the Redondo Pier, and the Germs were playing, and they had 50-cent beers up on sale, up on the pier. And at that time, nobody had any money.
Yeah.
And you always try to sneak in the shows, and $5 was a lot of help.
Yeah.
You know, jeez. So, the Germs were playing, maybe with the Circle Jerks. But we were bored. And everybody was always bored. Boredom was a big word.
Yeah.
That and poser. And so we're bored, and so what do? I got it. And like somebody was sitting there, a friend of mine, Jim Gardner, and we all sat there. And Pat was there, Pat Smear. The Alley Cats were there. I think they were playing too. They played every gig. They happened to play every gig. And what do? Let's tell people that the Germs van broke down and they need to collect money to fix it. And I think we must have some people came up with about $15. Hey, think of how many beers that is for 50 cents. Well, we did pretty good. We even got enough for food and stuff. I think somebody made, I got $25. Well, I got $15. Oh, I got 10. Oh, let's go. So everybody got sloshed up on the pier when it was time for the gig. Of course, everybody was ready.
Pretty ready.
Pretty ready to go. What's funny about those days, they all seem like one big day.
Yeah.
One big gig. I remember going to a Johnny Thunder show at the Whiskey, and I was even younger, and I was like 17. And I loved the New York Dolls. We used to buy records just for the covers.
Yeah.
And the New York Dolls and Johnny Thunders was the Heartbreakers. And the way the Whiskey used to run is the opening band, I think, was The Quick, and it was the Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers. And I went to go see the first show, and I paid my $6, And it was such a great show. They just got into town. They were just playing hard and sweating and the whole thing, and it was good and tight. Thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And at that time I'd been to big concerts, but I'd never seen a band where you could, if you wanted to, you could reach out and touch them.
Yeah.
It was great. And then we used to do this thing, if we liked the show, to stay for the second. So the Whiskey used to clear out.
Right.
And they used to have a second show. I used to hide in the bathroom with my feet up on the toilet so nobody could see me. And then once I heard people start coming in to the Whiskey, I just walk into the crowd again. So I go to see the second show, and God rest his soul, I love Johnny Thunders, but somebody must have showed up with the stuff in between the sets. And this made a big impression because I was like 17, and I was like, he lasted about a song and a half, and he had a half a stack of Marshall and a Fender Twin. He fell back on him. There was glasses of booze and beer on it, and you could hear the twin reverb thing go like the whole PA went like that, and the band just kind of looked over and went.
Right.
And they try to revive him, and they try to get him to play another song, and they try to fix the amp, and it was a horrible mess. And they took him off, and I don't know if they took him to a tospital or just took him somewhere. And I was like, I just saw the best show and like maybe the worst show ever. And a lot of people I know from that day are gone because of drugs. And I definitely miss a lot of the people who passed either because of drugs or maybe they got AIDS or something. You know, I always say it was way more important what happened before 1980 than what happened.
Right, right.
Because that was the original punk rock, and everybody said LA was a Johnny-come-lately type of scene compared to London and New York and this and that. That didn't matter to me. It was our own little world, and we were separate from even the whole LA thing, the surf and the this and the that. And all of a sudden the surf became part of the music. Actually, a lot of people thought Black Flag were a bunch of skateboard people and surfers and stuff, and we showed up in New York and we looked like a bunch of trolls that lived under the bridge. Every time I see a kid in New York riding a skateboard, I go, it's my fault.
Of course.
I miss LA, by the way, sometimes.